Yo, 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 what's good? What's good, YouTube? It's Stormybman, and I am back. That's right, I am back for this Friday, January 31st, the last day of the month, 2020. And we are here for the Friday night chop session. Episode number 47, we're calling it Avoiding Adversity in Boxing. Sound familiar? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I want to welcome everybody as we come to the end of this week. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on, what's going down in the sport of boxing. There's so much, so we can talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know. And we're going to start off by welcoming some good faces and familiar faces that we got in the chat here. We're starting out with Sister Denise Woods. She's out there. She says, salute Stormy B-Man, and to the chat. Salute to you, sister. Dark Truth is out there. He says, salute Stormy B-Man. Hyphy, my man Hyphy is out there. He says, who avoiding adversity? You know who avoiding. Mr. Tiptoe says, salute family. Dark Truth is in the building. He says, Denise Woods, peace and blessings. Brooklyn Child Boxing is out there. He says, salute OG Stormy. Salute to you, Brooklyn. How you doing, brother? Anthony Bolton is out there. Dark Truth. E. Woodson. He says, salute, Chi-Town OG. Salute to you, E. Woodson, my Chi-Town brother. Stand up. Gigi is out there. He says, salute, Stormy B-Man. Just coming through to show support. Make sure everybody checks out the 3 Wise Men of Boxing later on. Peace. Eric Jenkins is out there. Says, salute, Stormy B-Man. What's good, bro? Junior the Truth is out there. He says, let's get it. What's going on with you, Junior? Man, we were cracking up this morning, man. You guys, y'all was doing Tevin wrong, man. But I got my shots in, too. You know, 78 Sports TV is out there. He says, Stormy, what it do? Peace to the chat. What's going on with you, 78? Just caught your stream, too. Denise Wars is saluting everybody. Junior's reminding to smash the like button. And what else we got? Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens says, salute my peoples. And Omega Red is in the house. He says, salute family. What's going on with you, Reggie? You about ready? I am so happy to come to the end of this week, my people. I'm telling you, it's like, man, I'm feeling it. Stormy about ready to retire, man. It's like, you know, I didn't give them a lot. I ain't giving them all. To hell with that. They can't have it all. I gotta save some for me. You know what I mean? So that's important. To save some for yourself. Never forget that. Because that goes for you, your close ones, your loved ones. You know, make sure you save something for everybody, you know, except for them people on that other side. So that's what that's about, you know. But I'm glad everybody's out there. Money Brown TV is out there. He says, salute Stormy, Big Dog, and the chat. What's going on with you, Money Brown? Glad to see you, bro. Welcome to the Stormy B-Man Friday night chop session. That's right. We're going to chop it up. I usually have my brother Reggie on there with me. I'm just waiting for him to join in whenever he gets a chance. I know he likes to make a grand entrance. That's okay. You know, there's divas out there. But last night, everyone, the fight card on the DAZN app. Now, I know some people don't rock with DAZN or whatever. It's not my favorite cup of tea either. But, you know, I've been gifted with the opportunity to check out some of these matches from time to time. And last night was no different. And I came in when they were ready to start the main events, you know. And it was interesting. It was quite interesting. That first fight that I caught between Roman and Akhmadaliev, I can't pronounce them guys' names with all them extra letters and shit. You know who I'm talking about. I found out late that Roman had a injury, and I guess he was coming back from a shoulder surgery or something like that. I don't know if that's the 100% truth. Just got it on late information, but it was a pretty good match. He's super bantamweights, and I know a lot of people don't like to watch the little guys, but sometimes when you're watching the little guys, that's where you can see that skill set come in. And Akhmadov, he came in, he had this unorthodox style. I had remarked he reminded me a little bit of Edwin Rosario. Little short arms, little short body, and he's in there darting in and out. He had a little pep on his punches, but his technique was rather crude. But Roman is a typical aggressor, Mexican style. Mr. Triple G liked to call it Mexican style, but he actually had the true Mexican style. And for anyone that watched those matches, you could see that Roman had his hands up all times. He kept his hands up, proper position. He's not much of a jabber, though, but at least he had those hands up. You know, the thing is, when you watch fighters who start out the correct way, proper technique, keep their hands up, keep their chin tucked, things like that, they're already starting off on the level, and they can go up from there. They can go down from there as well. But the thing about it is technique is very, very important. And because Akhmadov, he has some fire on his punches. If Roman wasn't keeping those hands up early on, there was some looping shots that caught him like on the glove and on the side of the head, but he kind of, warded some of the power off. He could have been stopped early. But because of his technique, he was able to last. And the thing about that is that that shoulder problem came into play because we could see later that he wasn't able to go to the body as he may have been willing to, dropping those lefts to the liver, solar plexus shots, uppercuts to the belly, things like that. He wasn't getting that. He wasn't getting that type of work in. And I noticed it, and I was wondering why he wasn't throwing those kind of punches. And then, like I said, I found out today what type of injury he was coming back from. But no excuses, because in his 8th professional fight, Akhmadov, he set history, joined Leon Spinks in the ranks of winning a world championship title in his 8th professional fight. That's not an easy feat, people. If you think that these guys in the men's division, I mean, we've seen some special things happen in the women's division of boxing, but in the men's division of boxing, you're talking about a man coming in, fighting a guy with 30 plus fights or whatever, and being able to go in there with 8 pro fights under his belt and win a world title, a unified world title. That's something special, should not be overlooked. However, I would be looking forward to a rematch between these two guys. Just let Mr. Roman get himself real good and healthy and come back. I often remark some of these guys lose titles that they have attained through various means, whether it's been vacated, if it's someone just moved up in weight class or something, or just dropped a belt because they didn't want to face certain opposition. We're seeing all of these scenarios play out right before us every day. But sometimes you do have special people who can come in. I talk about my favorite fighter, Evander Holyfield, winning the world championship, cruiserweight, from Dwight Muhammad Qawi in his 12th professional fight. Sweet Pea Whitaker did it in his 15th. So there is a barometer set for special guys to be able to go in there and win the title. Muhammad Ali followed Floyd Patterson, who won the heavyweight championship at 21. Ali won it at 22. And then Tyson came along and won it, I think at 20 or 21. It's like, that's short company. It's not a lot of guys out there to achieve these type of feats. So it's something to think about, We got, let's see, 89 TV has joined us. Hyphy's out there. He says, Stormybman, if Reggie don't join, I'll fill in for his slot as we praise our pound for pound champion, Andre. And Eric Jenkins is out there. He says, The Zone, I watched the replay. Nothing more. 100. Denise Ward says, I was not impressed at all, even though I tried. Diaz fought his fight and beat Farmer. Andre's skills are eroding because he is not fighting to his level of skill. Denise Woods, talk to Hyphy. Iceberg Nerd is out there. He says, salutations. Yeah, there is something to be said about that Farmer fight, right? Let's move on to that. Man, what in the world? Tevin Farmer is a pretty decent boxer, southpaw fighter, decent hand speed, no punching power, quite feather-fisted, or as my man Tyrone Smith says, leaf blowers. He says, but he has good lateral movement, and he can even take a decent shot. But last night, something really weird went down with Mr. Farmer. I don't know. I've watched a few of his fights before, but I will say that he did not look his usual self. And it could be for a number of reasons, but I do believe that there was something wrong with Tevin Farmer last night. He wasn't his usual self. But before I go any further with that, Ronald Finkley joined us in the building. He says, salute, what's good, Stormy B, man? What's good with you, Ronald Finkley? I want to welcome in my guest on here is Reggie. What's going on, Reggie Owens?
What's happening, OG? What's going down? What's up with the chat?
Haha, it's all good, brother. It's all good. Just about to segue right into this match between Jojo Diaz and Tevin Farmer from last night. Since you're just joining us, I'll give you a chance to kind of speak your piece on it and get the audience a chance to listen to what you got to say a little bit.
Yeah, man, I wasn't surprised with the outcome, man. I kind of favor Jojo Diaz based on what I see Jojo do in his fight against Gary Russell, in which I thought Gary Russell did. I mean, not Gary Russell, but Jojo Diaz did enough in that Russell fight to pull out a draw. So I see that this guy is strong-willed. He presses the attack, and it takes a lot to beat the fight out of Jojo Diaz, and it's almost virtually impossible for someone of Tevin Farmer's caliber and strength to be able to beat the will out of Jojo Diaz. You see him with that gruesome looking cut, and it did nothing to this dude. Even when the doctors look at it, the doctors couldn't get this dude to agree to pull about this fight. So it takes a lot. You have to be on the deathbed to be able to pull him out of fight. So it just showed the hunger, his will to go in there and to become a champion, that he just pressed on through this. And going into the fight, Tevin Farmer in that first round, he showed a little bit of flair of himself, but coming out of that, he made the comment about the hand injury. But I don't think the hand injury really became the issue in this fight. I think it's the level of competition that he came in this fight to face. Jojo Diaz is just on a different level that Tevin Farmer hasn't been facing. And this is the problem when you're fluffing up the records of someone that's holding titles. They're not getting the type of work that they need. The type of work they need to get them prepared for these step-ups in the elevation of competition. But then he also had something that was going on that seemed like some medical issue. The eye twitching thing that was constant throughout the fight. Standing over in the corner, the jerking of his body, the lifting of his neck. And almost every time it caused it to where it kept looking like he was looking at the clock. So he had these uncontrollable type muscle or neurological issues. Even following his fight, he had to go to the hospital after that. They had to run it CT CAT scan on Tevin Farmer, but in this fight, he just couldn't do anything. Nothing fired off for him. He didn't show any of the athletic, agile abilities in this fight. They couldn't figure out where to fight this fight. They tell him once to fight on the inside, which I seen one round where he decided to fight on the inside. He couldn't get away from punches. He was constantly being hit with shots that usually against other opponents he was able to dodge, but he just didn't look well. I don't want to say could it be these issues or could it be his lack of experience when it comes to better opposition, but that's why I got on that.
Yeah, what I wanted to add to that too is I found it, because I have watched a few of Farmer's fights in the past. There was something going on. I don't know what that was. I'm not even trying to suggest or imply that it took away from JoJo's performance, which I will follow up on his performance in just a moment. It looked like something going on, but I would like to hear from Farmer himself to explain what he was going through, what he was dealing with, what his reaction is to what was transpiring. Now, he may try to play low key in denial or whatever regarding that, but there is something seriously wrong when a person is having those type of, and like you said, it's similar to Tourette's or something. He's just shaking and having these nervous jits and all of that. But that's, hey, it's on him. He decided to go through the fight, something like that to show up on fight night. I don't know. There could have been things going on in camp. Who knows? But they can't just write it off as nothing because there was something. And I would like to know what that was, because that would just give me greater insight to medical states and conditions that fighters can be under. And we should, like when I say we, some of us who like to try to cover the sport, talk about the sport here on the airwaves and everything, be nice for us to have some kind of ear to the ground about that, so we can make proper assessments when we're talking about calling fights, looking at fights, giving predictions and things like that, or even just calling the action as we see it. That's important. Regarding JoJo Diaz's performance, salute to JoJo, man. That guy, he came out there after that round and with that cut from the accidental clash of heads and everything, the worse for wear. And it looked like that fight could have been over quick, and the cut was so severe. I mean, there have been a few fighters who've had that similar cut and the fight gets stopped. But shout out to his cornermen who were able to stop the bleeding. Maybe Mr. Diaz is not maybe he's not a bleeder, because he was cut in a severe spot where the blood could, run and stream. And we just saw Tyson Fury against Otto Wallin, and he had a tremendous 2-part cut over one of his eyes like that. And he bled like, he had been stabbed. You know what I'm saying? So this man, his cornermen were able to stop the cut and put the type of pressure on it where it just remained like swollen, but it didn't flip inside out like one of the fights that I saw. I can't remember off the top of my head right now who it was, where that same type of cut looked like the eyelid almost flipped inside out because the cut was so severe. This gentleman, his cut, they seemed to get it dry and moist with the whatever they were using to stop the cut, adrenaline, whatever, and it didn't bleed. But also, Farmer was not able to use the jab and score and try to worsen the cut to try to, but he had said after the first round he had hurt his hand. He had gone back to his corner and told his cornerman that he hurt his hand. He didn't fight like his hand was hurt, but he definitely didn't throw jabs in a meaningful fashion or even as try to use strategically to do something to that eye. He elected to lean in on the inside and go to work, Usually guys do that when their legs aren't there. And what was really weird, he stood up between every round. What the hell was that? He think he's George Foreman or something, standing up. Sit your ass down, get your shit together, because that's probably what was wrong. He needed to rest or something. Maybe he need a long time off or something. You know, he's been too active. But the also to mention to the fact that you said fighting such low opposition, not being able to have a challenge where you could get up, get those creative juices flowing where you can get out there and compete with someone who's a threat to you, who may, you know, take things away from you. He fought a lot of guys who were not of that ilk, and that could have come back and bit him, you know. So there's a number of things that we can throw into this, but let's not in the least try to take away from Mr. Diaz, who had in 2 other title shots lost those fights where he didn't get a chance to win a title. And he came in last night and was able to overcome his own adversity and become a champion. Now, as the title of tonight's show says, avoiding adversity, you know, it's funny because some fighters rest on their laurels if they become a champion. They get to the top of the sport and they feel like, oh, I've made it. Now I just got to maintain and secure my future and things like that. That's okay to have that type of intent. But the one thing you don't want to lose is your competitive edge and the spirit that drives you when you were on your way toward the conquest of a championship. Because if by the least that desire slips, you become food for every other person that's out there that's not champion. And that's one of the things we're seeing a lot in the sport already. This is January 31st, and we've seen a couple of world champions lose their belts already. I mean, guys who have held their belts for a little bit, you know. And, you know, Mr. J-Rock didn't have his long as far as defending. It was his first title defense, and he lost his belt. So when we look at this, and this is just the first month of the year, man, it's time to roll the sleeves up because 2020 might be a hell of a ride. What do you have to add on that, Reggie?
Man, I can't wait to see the way this mug shape out because I think it's going to be a lot of upsets and a lot of champions losing their titles in this thing. But I hope to God that Jojo Diaz doesn't go the route that like you're saying, many champions go about, winning titles and you know, kind of prima donning their status in the game and fighting softer, you know, less meaningful fights in the game. But hopefully he stays on this track. But now I find the problem, it won't be him. The problem I think is going to be is Oscar De La Hoya. And I see Oscar De La Hoya's comments about with Jojo Diaz winning, Golden Boy being more powerful. So now will Oscar start playing these games of leverage, holding away these titles, blocking unification type bouts? I don't think Jojo Diaz will be that type of fighter. I hope not, but who knows with these fighters with the way they change when the money starts coming in from being a champion, and a lot of them not wanting to relinquish that, you know, the whole money earning potentials from them losing a title due to them taking riskier challenges. But hopefully this dude is a warrior, and I see a lot of warrior in the spirit of Jojo Diaz. I think the problem is going to be that fruit cup Oscar De La Hoya and keeping this guy away from, you know, career-defining type fights, the fights that he needs. But, yeah, that's all I got. I can't wait to see how 2020 shapes up. But I think we're going to see some more shocking upsets going down. And then in Philly, man, something going wrong with Philly, man. They having a rough 2020.
Yeah, Philly they better lay off them cheesesteaks or something, man. It's like, it's really going down in Philly. You know what I mean? So these guys better get with it. I agree with that. One of the things that I, you know, wanted to bring up was the fact that Farmer has said, you know, he would like to exercise his option of a rematch immediately. So that's kind of interesting within itself. Going into this fight, I had spoken about their styles being a great mesh for the you know the different type of fighters that they are, and had the, let's just say, had everything been okay with Farmer and the cut not happen with Diaz, we could have seen a fight that could have gone toward a finale, you know, like somebody getting stopped or somebody stopping on a stool or ref having to jump in, because this was that kind of fight. And even though Farmer is not like a power puncher in the least, his movement and things like that, if he's on, it can give guys headaches, you know, and some guys can be frustrated. But I don't believe that Diaz would have been frustrated in the least on that night, because he was coming in with a number of motivational factors in his favor. And going into a rematch, it would be interesting what his position would be in a rematch as a defending champion now, because I understand he moved up from a lower weight and he was beginning to max out down there, like he, you know, was depleted or something like that. Maybe this will be just the shot in the arm that he needs, but we'll have to see. But I would like to see a rematch between these guys if everything being on the level and they can get in there and provide us with what we thought we might see that first time. But they always say that sometimes the acquisition of a title can make a fighter a certain percentage better. What percentage that may be, it really depends on the individual. And it can go south, as we have seen with Andy Ruiz Jr. when a guy gets a title. But of course, that comes with those millions and everything that guys get in that heavyweight division when fighting for heavyweight championships. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what will happen on the horizon with the rematch between these two. Reggie, since you came in a little bit late after I introduced that conversation for the opening fight of the night, how did you find Roman versus Akhmelayev? I can't say the guy's name. I'm having trouble.
No, and I was in the background when you was talking about.
Yeah. I wanted to know, can you give us your thoughts on what you thought of it, the fight?
Yeah, most definitely, man. I thought it was shaping up to be a good fight, but that goddamn Akhmedov, man, he's like a pit bull, man. One of those pit bulls who you see will go down and fight to the death. It was almost, it was, I mean, not almost, but it was really nothing that Roman could do to really get this guy to step off of him. Akhmedov was just coming forward, eating those shots. Didn't seem affected by anything, and even if he was buzzed with any of those shots, because Roman was laying some heavy leather type punches, but Akhmedov has a great disguise. He can disguise whether he's hurt or not. He doesn't show it, and that can be kind of demoralizing for a fighter that's given his all. And this just seemed to be able to break Roman. He was hitting down to the body, tagging him everywhere, changing his levels. The head work, the dude just fought a great fight, man. And he showed a tough. You can't play around in these games, because these guys from over in these other countries, who this is all they live for, they ain't into this glitz and glamour shit, all these societal distractions and shit. These dudes' life is boxing, and they put their heart into it, and they will come in there and embarrass the dog shit out of you. So. This 8-fight dude is probably gonna reign in his fight game for a lot, and I don't think he's gonna be a guy that's gonna win titles and lose sight of his craft. But yeah, that's all I have on that. Well, I was impressed, but I also want to say something about Jojo Diaz before we close on that one. Is what impressed me, not just with Jojo Diaz winning the titles, but the way he fought and the way he reacted after this cut. Not once did I see him wipe at his eye, rubbing at that cut. Not once did he show any effect. It almost like he tried, and he didn't act tentative. He wasn't afraid to go on the inside. Wasn't worried about getting hit with by another headbutt. He fought on the inside, jockey for position from the inside, and it just showed the toughness of JoJo Diaz, and I have to commend that. But that's all I had. But that first fight, I enjoyed it.
Man, thank you for bringing that up, because I noticed that immediately during the fight as I was watching it, that Diaz, even when he got cut, he did not swipe at it. He didn't wipe at it. He just fought. Matter of fact, if I could say, I noticed him refocus himself when he knew he was cut. He got more intense about what his ambition was, what his plan was in the fight. And I noticed it right away. And as the rounds went on, like this, the next round, the third, fourth round, as they came about, because by round 4, they had pretty much stopped the bleeding. You know, it wasn't trickling down and everything. I said to myself, now that's how J-Rock was supposed to respond to being cut, especially since he had scar tissue open up that was already in existence. So it wasn't like he hadn't been cut before or something. That was something that was already there that reopened on J-Rock and his situation. But like I said, kudos to both Diaz and his corner, how the corner conducted themselves and took good care of him, and how he remained focused, dialed in on his task at hand. And man, it was one of the number one things I noticed. After that happened, he was ready to go. And he did go. And he poured it on. Even in the later rounds, he began to even pick it up a little more. And you have to respect guys who bring it with that type of attentiveness and focus. I want to acknowledge a few people that joined us. We got Ronald Finkley out there, Mark Wunderlich, and the Underrated Darkness is out there. He says, salute Stormybman in the chat, LDBC. Tyrone Smith has joined us. And let's see what else we got here. I saw some more. Michael Johnson, Boxing Talk and more. What's going on with you, Michael? Good to see you. And everybody else is saluting each other. Ronald Finkley says, JoJo definitely had a sense of focus after the cut. He pushed his level up. Exactly. And he didn't wade into danger recklessly like J-Rock did. J-Rock just kind of waded into danger. Now, mind you, Farm the type of punching power to put him on notice like a Jason Rosario had, but he still was a champion, and you have to respect that champion to a degree that you don't fall into a trap. And because he had challenged for a title or two in the past previously, I think that helped JoJo as well, because he knew, you know, again, let's take it back to Boxing 101. He lost some fights before, okay? And having to go back, regroup, retool, and make another run for it, you kind of have a checklist of whatever you had as a rough encounter going in the first time, going around the second or third time. You know that, man, maybe I didn't push myself as hard as the rounds were ending. Man, maybe I didn't save enough for the later portion of the fight. Maybe I didn't do this. Maybe I didn't do that. And you use that as a barometer to test yourself and push yourself to the next level so that you can compete at a higher level. And he did that. If you look at the fight and how it began to take place, he was able to come on at certain points in the fight, and Farmer didn't meet that for whatever reason. But it was JoJo's night. He met it. He did what he had to do, and he prevailed as a champion. So salute to the brother for doing that. You know what I mean? So let's see what else we got here. Tyrone Smith says, that was a great point about how Diaz handled that cut. And Denise Ward says, excellent point on Diaz. Yes, this is the stuff of champions, because there are a number of guys who are titleists right now throughout the divisions who have never really faced adversity in their careers. And they're holding titles right now, waiting to be taken from them, just snatched away, because they have not filled their dossier, their book on boxing. They haven't filled it. There's pages, stories to be told missing from chapters, and they're incomplete. And some of them think that they're going to skate and skirt through their careers without cracking some eggs or breaking eggs. But hey, you stay in there long enough, somebody is going to take you to school. And see, I said it many times before, a lot of these fighters out here in this present day have won or attained titles without learning how to fight. Going out there and blowing somebody out in 2-3 rounds, knocking them out because you got a bit of a punch or something, that's not it. That's not fulfilling. That doesn't earn you your doctorate in boxing. Being able to go the distance from about round 1 to round 12, that doesn't garner you a degree. But having suffered some type of trial, adversity, some type of opposition, okay, a barrier put in your way that you have to go through, go under, go over, go around to solve and resolve issues that arise in a fight. That's what you can take into the thereafter, after you get beyond that point and you go to your next level. A lot of guys haven't faced that. That's why I spoke about J-Rock responding like he did to the cut he had. You're a veteran fighter, and now you're a champion. And to see him out there pawing at his eye, when the cut wasn't even that bad. His cut wasn't even as bad as the other guy. But he bled, and he kept letting the guy know, man, I'm hurt. Can you hit me right here? Can you hit me right here so we can stop it? Huh? That's what he was doing. And Rosario obliged. It's ridiculous when these guys go out there like that and they have to face trial. That's when you have to think on your feet, man. That's when you have to put it together. All the shit you were supposed to be learning in the gym, it's time to put it into effect right now. All J-Rock had to do was take a moment, start stepping back, jabbing, moving around the ring a little bit, giving some angles, give the medicines that they were putting on his eye a chance to start mending or whatever. Then you could go right back into your game plan or whatever. But no, he pumped his gloves like this, like, I'm a G. I'm going to go out here. Well, he got G'd up. Huh? He got G'd up. And I saw his trainer's expression after the fight was halted due to the knockout and everything. He was very disappointed in Julian. He was very disappointed because he knew that he brought a guy to this fight that was really equipped to deal with what he had in front of him. But again, sometimes people think with the wrong type of point of view. And you thinking like, I'm going to get the benefit of the doubt and everything. When he was hurt, he tried to pretend like he wasn't hurt, but he didn't try to pretend like he wasn't hurt in the smartest manner. He didn't bluff like when you're playing your pinochle game. You ain't going to give up your hand, right? Your blackjack. He's sitting over there, poker face, but he kind of got that look like giving the sign that something going on there. And Rosario stepped in there and said, hey, let me look in here and see what I can take. And he took his belts. This is how that shit happens, man. And it's like, again, the fighters, a lot of times, coaches and trainers do give them the tools. Huh? But the zipper gets stuck. You can't pull it out the bag. Huh? And in the meantime, the guy hitting you on your chin. So, there you go. Ronald Finkley says, experience was the key. Michael Johnson, Boxing Talking More, says, Diaz had no choice. They could have stopped that fight before the 4th. But he wasn't bleeding. See, they were able to stop the bleeding. The cut was horribly bad, but he wasn't bleeding. So if you're not bleeding, you're not giving them a reason to stop it because there's no impediment. It's not getting in your eye or whatever. It's just like a swollen eye, really. His eyelid just looked like it was swollen. And we saw, what was that, Josh Taylor against Regis Prograis? His eye looked like a damn, what do they call it? Eggplant or something stuck on his eye. His eye was horrible. Huh? So it wasn't bleeding, so they could let it go on. He also says Farmer seemed to only win the first round. That was pretty much it, too. I agree. Um, who is this? Okay, you guys got somebody. Okay, that's right, Ronald Finkley. Just do what you got to do, man. Snipers on board, take them out. And he says, "Great point, Stormy B, man. Thank you." So Reggie, you got something? We talked about the possibility of you bringing something into the show that you wanted to talk about.
Nothing more than the stuff people Bella, man, and the stink.
Okay, go ahead.
He tried to
go ahead and throw that out there. See what you got to say about that.
Oh yeah, man, and I'm glad that pointed out, listening to speak on it, and he played a video and point out a lot to it where people are trying to say that he exposed Wilder because he made a comment. He's trying to say Wilder and his team didn't want the Anthony Joshua. Most people are taking it towards looking like Wilder duck AJ or something like that. But also with DeBella pulling off this thing of trying to make that slick move, like Fight Fans was stating, that this dude turned out to be a mole. He ended up becoming a PBC mole who ended up doing a little bit too much, and he exposed himself, and it puts him in a position where he's almost that tactic he tried to move of there's have to be some under the table money dealings that DeBella tried to pull off under the noses of everybody. He tried to line his pockets. He tried to snake Al Heyman, Shelly Finkel, and Deontay Wilder himself. But I just never liked Lou DeBella because it was around the time, when I used to be on Dante's Boxing Nation show, and I remember it was a show where he called DeBella. And in this interaction of him speaking with DeBella just came off wrong. You know how you can, just based on conversations, or if you're around a person, you just get certain vibrations from him. From DeBella, I just liked something seemed fishy about him, and I kind of just always felt that way about DeBella from that conversation on Dante's Boxing Nation. He was snarky as hell, never answered any of the questions, almost like he's speaking above and like people beneath him. Like we were on mute because I was ready to go off on Bella, tell him fuck you, because I don't deal with people who talk like that. And it was just something I liked. But then now this stuff comes out, and I'm not shocked by it at all, because he just comes off as that. He comes off to where he thinks he's he's one of these people that think they're the smartest person in the room types. And I'm glad it's all coming out. And the more he talks, he exposes himself. And also those who think they can find any fault in Deontay Wilder based on them hearing anything coming out the mouth of DeBella because it sounds favorable and it sounds in a pitch of what they want to hear. But when you really comb through things, pull the layers back, you really see what's being stated. And there's no way you're going to find fault done in this game. And if Wilder was to ever do anything, to the state in which AJ and them behave, the Keith Thurmans, he'll be called out for it. But it ain't happening. So, but DeBella, a true snake in the game, that little short-term, quick money grab he tried to pull off is ultimately going to ruin and wreck him in this boxing game. And the worst thing that happened to him occurred last night. All this stuff is coming out, and now probably the biggest fight he had left was Tevin Farmer. He's no longer a champ. The big money fights for Tevin Farmer are gone. And then ultimately, you've been removed from Deontay Wilder when he's going. Ain't no telling what kind of crazy money they're going to pull off, because you try to snake everybody, you done fucked yourself out of all this money. And that's what he gets.
Yeah, boy. I tell you, I caught quite a bit of Best Fight the Best stream today. Shout out to Best Fight the Best. The man who has the receipts on everything. I mean, he can go back. If you bought that tape in 2009 in January, he can go back and pull it up and say, this is what you say. Is this your voice right here? But yeah, he really was breaking that down, and I liked how he was going back and he was playing it, explaining it, playing it, giving the replies of the people who were trying to say, oh, but he meant X, Y, Z. No, this is what he said. I love that, because people try to take, it's one of those things like when you were in school, you got report cards in school. And back in my day in school, they used to have this part on the report card that said something about your reading and then your comprehension. Well, some people could barely read, okay? That's one thing. That's just some people who have problem reading. Some people could read and comprehend. And then you had those who could read barely and couldn't comprehend a damn thing. So then they're going to take their own explanation of what happened. And the teacher would be kind of looking at them like, where the hell you get that from? Huh? That's not what was in the story. That's not what we were talking about. And that's these guys who are out here that BFTB be going off on, and he be showing them and straightening them out, right? Remember, those people become adults too, from way back when you was in school. They had an idiot circle, huh? And some of them out here drawn the greater circle of idiots. And then they come out here on YouTube, and this is what they doing. Because they don't want to believe what's evident. Huh? Lie to me, baby. Lie to me. This is their motto. And it's ridiculous, because you could show them this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. And if you don't take your part in it, this is the bad thing that can happen to you or whatever. And they'll go right on with like you didn't say nothing to them or whatever. And then they calling you, I'm in trouble. Can you come and help me out? That's these people, man. But yes, Lou DiBella out there for doing what he was doing. I knew one day it was going to come crashing down for him. I knew, because he behaved in a certain type of manner. He goes all the way back to the earlier, not earlier, but he had a hand in a lot of things that was happening behind the scenes in HBO during the 90s, And you could go back and watch some of them broadcasts, and you see his name in the credits and stuff when the fights be going off. DiBella has always been around there. But he getting his. You know what I mean? They always say you can get by, but you don't get away. Huh? There's something in the bag for everybody. So, yeah. I wanted to take a moment to go back to the chat. We got people really chopping it up in here. Michael Johnson, Boxer Talking More, said, did Wilder say DiBella try some snake shit? And Tyrone is out there. He says, yeah, Ronald Finkley, I saw that last night. And Mark Wonderlich said, is DiBella a Jew? And Michael Johnson, Boxer Talking More, says, Mark, he probably is. You guys, this is funny, man. But because, you know what? It's like you can listen to a person's rhetoric and their speech, and then you could watch their behavior. Then people automatically start associating, certain things, putting them together. Oh, this is what he, but I ain't going to go into all of that. But yeah, just know that now that we have today's type of social media, things get out very fast. They don't get a chance to put the fire out before it get out there. When it says fire, people are already, got the cameras, got the recorders, everything out. So that's the way it is. Reggie, what do you think about this fight that Mikey Garcia got coming up with Jesse Vargas?
I think it's them robbing Eddie Hearn retarded ass. He has no eye for scouting good fights, and I think that's all it is. It's them going in there, securing their money, him helping out a friend, and that's the most I think of it, man. Because I don't see Jesse being competitive. I can see Jesse not trying to win. I can see him going in here not making it competitive. Him just being appreciative of what his friend Mikey Garcia has done for him. But on a competitive level, I think Mikey Garcia is a better fighter than Jesse. I haven't liked what I've seen from Jesse Vargas. His performance against Adrian Broner, it rubbed me the wrong way. I think that fight he had with Pacquiao, it just shows that he doesn't put his foot on the gas when it's time to step to that next level. And that's what's ultimately failed him. I mean, Adrian Broner did everything possible to be disrespectful to Jesse Vargas. And Jesse Vargas talks all this talk like he's going to do something, and you don't see it inside that ring. And if Adrian Broner wasn't the late starter that he is, he could have put on an embarrassing beatdown on Jesse Vargas. Wow. Jesse Vargas should have been in the most motivating status that he should have been in based on the level of disrespect Adrian Broner showed to him. Jesse just doesn't display it in my book. To me, I think Mikey is going to go in here and beat on him if Mikey on him. But then again, them being friends, I don't think Mikey's going to give it his all to try to knock. But it's just a quick way to come in here. Eddie Hearn think the money play, because it's all Eddie cares about. He doesn't care how great of a matchup a fight is. He cares about finding fan bases that he can pull every penny out their damn pocket, because they're so magnetized in their retardation based on other nationalistic prides. And he's doing that with where he thinks Mexican fan base is just going to turn out. And he liked what he saw with the turnout he got from the Chavez fight. So he think he can get that with Mikey Garcia. But it's like, I don't think Mikey Garcia has too many fans that trust him talking about seeing something, he going to do this and that against. And he came in there and got beat down for 12 rounds. So I don't think that there's that much of a following behind Mikey Garcia. But it's all with Eddie. Eddie has no eye to scout game. He just based it off of, I don't know what the hell he bases this crap off of, but nothing special about this fight.
Man, I don't like Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia talks like a politician, man. And I really hate politicians. I don't like those guys at all. They think they're scumbags. So yeah, maybe I think Mikey Garcia is a scumbag as well. If you notice, he's been making remarks about other people's fights and potential opponents and whatnot when he ain't fighting certain type of fighters or certain classes of fighters himself. And, he's made a little change, and he and his family kind of have a little thing going on now where they've done something for themselves and have established, a little bit of, economic standing there. And they kind of walk around like they know better than everybody else or something. I'm like, dude, you still could get knocked the fuck out. All you got to do is just get in the ring with the right person, which you're trying your best, your damnedest not to do. That's the thing. This guy doesn't want to get in the ring with the people who could twist his cap back. And he got his older brother over there, Roberto, damn that Roberto, grandpa, who used to get his head twisted back, which is why he stopped fighting. When he realized that what he was doing to other people in the ring could be done to him, he said, oh, I think I'm going to go be like Dad and I'm going to train instead of getting hit by trains. Yeah, I said it. But let's go back to the DAZN card. Your boy, Doodoo Andre, and I call him Doodoo. I refuse to call him that other name because I think he's a shit fighter. Okay? Matter of fact, if you want to be real technical about it, I think he's a shot shit fighter. Did you hear me? One more time. A shot shit fighter. Mr. Boo Boo Doodoo Andre. Yeah, that's what he is. he's been wasting so much of his career. Do you realize his career started in, what was that? I was told 2008 or something like that. And half of that time, he's been inactive. The other half of that time, he's been fighting nobodies, who are theys, and never words. Okay? And ain'ts. And even now, like the guy he beat up on last night, the guy from the milk factory, that dude did not belong in the ring with him. They just found that guy somewhere. They say, hey, he looks like he weighs about 169 pounds. Can you put these trunks on, go over there in the dressing room, let the guy wrap your hands. That's what he looked like. A guy taken straight off the street, man. And he went 9-10 rounds with doo-doo. Huh? And it was a doo-doo of a performance. Because he didn't show me anything. That knockdown he got in the first round, that was luck. Huh? Because the guy didn't have his guard up or nothing. He walked out there and got hit. He thought, oh, I thought we were supposed to touch gloves like this or something first or whatever. And doo-doo hit him on the chin and damn near killed him. Huh? So, yeah, this is what, and then he says that he wants, Charlo and, Saunders and all of these other guys. This dude don't know what that's all about. Those days when he was on that type of level were long ago for him. You remember a couple of, what was this? It was that fight he had last summer, I think it was, when he was fighting that guy. I forget what guy it was, but
Selecki, yeah. I think.
And you remember how his legs was going on him and shit, and he was in the fight not even with a tough Rumble guy. He was just in there with a guy who was there to get his ass whooped. And his legs were going in the fight, and we were saying, damn, we know he had a long layoff, but what's this? He ain't even taking shots or anything. Hyphy out there, I see you, Hyphy. He says, watch your mouth, Mr. Stormybman. I am watching my mouth. I'm speaking like an adult. He's a shit fighter. That's what I said. If I wasn't an adult, I couldn't say that. I would call him that other name that y'all lovingly call him. But I call him, shit. That dude, his prime has passed him by. His career has passed him by. He's just out here now taking checks. He's not going to get in there with anybody that's supposed to be a tough match for him. He's not going to go out there. He's their in-house fighter now. That's what he is. He's like a Dillian White with a title. That's what he's doing their service for them. A lot of you might not want to hear that, but that's exactly what that guy is. He messed up so much of his career when he had a great opportunity, when he was young and he had a future ahead of him or whatever. But he has not capped as a threat or whatever. He is comfortable in his own skin, which I would hate to be around him for that, because he looks.
The Selecki fight, I was wondering, because he fought the same style when he fought Selecki. And I wondered, what the hell is he doing? I'm like, has he lost something? Is he clowning around? But then the crazy thing is, this is the performance you're putting on in front of your hometown. Like, you got this hometown return. They put you in big in Rhode Island. And these people are in there cheering for him early, and they go flat. This dude down there put the whole crowd to sleep. Then he comes out here last night. He opened, dropping this dude, and never capitalized on it. And matter of fact, in that first round when he dropped it, the dude almost came back to even. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? Where's it setting up? Where's this level of boxing? It looks like it's going. I don't know what the hell he done. I think he's going to fight this style against anyone else he fights against. But it was crazy to watch that dude come back in that round where he dropped him with one punch, go in the second round, drops the guy again. He hurt the guy pretty bad in that round. Get up off the canvas and come back into the fight. And then he was able to tag Andrade. And this who, and the crazy thing with this dude, it seemed like calculus for this dude to keep his hands up. It was like no idea that he needs to keep his hands up to protect his damn chin. He wanted to keep his hands around his waist the whole time, leaving his whole side of his jaw open. Bubu Andrade swinging these wild shots. He missed a ton of these wild punches. This dude was able to dodge out the way of it. This dude was able to freeze up a lot of Bubu by just sticking out his jab and coming forward, and it seemed to lock and freeze Bubu Andrade up. Andrade really showed no head movement. He didn't show really no real movement. And I think if that anything in him to where he can plan himself, the guy couldn't fight, going awkward, but he's still able to touch Bubu. And I was like, that was a little bit alarming to me. And it wasn't that Andrade was trying to play with this dude. He wasn't playing with this guy. You start to see Andrade look a little fatigued in this round. In the fight, I had the dude win the last 3 rounds before he was knocked out. It just wasn't good performance, and you can see it in that crowd. The other fights that were on this card were entertaining. When Bubu Andrade get out there, they went flat after the second round. That whole crowd was dead because they didn't see anything from Bubu Andrade, and they don't know who Andrade is. And good thing they didn't waste money doing the not upset, not to say, I don't know a different word, but I'll say upset with the lack of promotion that went into this fight. But it's a good thing they didn't waste their money promoting this guy, because he did nothing that would last to where anyone in attendance would like to follow him, because they're like, this dude was sloppy. He almost looked as bad as a damn YouTube fighter. But it does nothing. That performance for Andrade did nothing to want any big name fighter out there to go hunting for Bubu Andrade. He'll kill off everything when it comes to potential of earning money. Canelo don't want him. Who's going to show up for a Canelo versus Andrade fight when looking like this? They think nothing of Andrade. He's virtually become a joke of a highly touted fighter. Charlo may get him because now they're in a desperate situation to where now you're hearing Eddie Hearn whole tone change, where Eddie thought he can expose Charlo, showing the Instagram direct message that he sent to him. But now you hear all that change because Eddie Hearn knows that this fighter he got signed to him ain't worth a goddamn shit. And now that they're willing to go to where Charlo is, they're willing to take on, because they have no other hopes but to go where other fighters are or try to get Charlo fight. But now he knows he has to come correct, because Andrade didn't do anything to put himself, put the ball in his court, especially with last night's performance against a fighter who virtually had nothing. And it's just crazy that they'll find a guy like Luke Keeler to fight this dude who is a champion, is supposed to be this top name guy. Luke Keeler was so deficient at everything. No jab, no power, couldn't throw a clean punch to save his life, couldn't fight going forward, keeps his hands down, no head movement. And Andrade went 10 rounds with this guy. Should have been 10 rounds, because the ref was full of crap stopping that fight at the moment he stopped it. He stopped it when the bell rung, and it was just becoming more embarrassing and really killing off Andrade's career going forward when getting fights. And it messed Eddie Hearn's power plays that he thought he could play with Charlo. Now the ball's in Charlo's court.
Man, that Luke Keeler dude couldn't win a Golden Gloves tournament, man. He was horrible. He has to be one of the most horrible guys. Matter of fact, he would have been better off in the ring with those what do you call them? The social media fighters. He'd have been better off in there with those guys.
Oh, the YouTubers? Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been better off. Not in a professional championship fight. I mean, that's what the people really should be angry with Matchroom about, is putting that fight on with Andre in there with a guy that's not even he's not even a good amateur. That was ridiculous. But hey, it is what it is. What else do you think we can cook on off of this news of this week? I know there was some talk initially about whether or not Clarissa Shields should move up, move down to fight Cecilia Brækhus. and that whole thing about who's really the greatest and all of that, and Breakus and Layla Ali and all of that. Um, do you have any thoughts or anything on that?
Yeah, I'm in disagreement. For one, the money thing. I mean, I see where everybody's speaking of. Don't want to hate on that end of it, but when it comes to Clarissa chasing them for legacy, I think that's crap, because Clarissa doesn't need Layla Ali for a legacy. Layla Ali was never mentioned when it came to who Clarissa fought. She didn't come into a mention until she made comments on a radio station. When it comes to Cecilia Brækhus doesn't define Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields has become the most meaningful person, the most meaningful athlete in women's sports, not just boxing. Because the Serena sisters are gone, but Clarissa is kind of being passed that torch when it comes to keeping women at the forefront of visuals and of what's to women equality is what they're trying to achieve. Doing that by herself, she doesn't need Cecilia Brækhus. Cecilia Brækhus hasn't done that. As far as being a mention, Cecilia Brækhus has been accomplished in her victories, but she's almost kind of a shadow because there's nothing that keeps her name out there like Clarissa Shields has done. And Carissa's done it also by remaining undefeated, capturing all. But now the thing, I disagree. I can't wait capturing these titles, especially when you're big and moving down. I don't do it for the men's side of combat sports. It's going to be the same for the women's side of sports. I don't look nothing into Layla Ali. All she's doing is hating because, and it's common when you see that among, when they're seeing a young rising star doing so much, especially one that's vocal and makes statements that Clarissa Shields does, they're going to feel a certain way about it. And I recognize hate, and I recognize when it ain't being authentic and a serious enough challenge to want to take on. And I think Clarissa sees, but she knows with that money and what she's asking for, it's a smart move. It's smart that Clarissa's doing. This girl knows what she's doing. Like they say, how about going after money, Clarissa Shields is a female version of that. She knows how to shake and move things when it comes to the sport. She's bringing great mention into women's boxing. People are following it. When news breaks, they're following it. And it's not because of the other fighters who have broken it. It's because what Clarissa Shields has attracted over to it. But I spoke about her moving up, fighting her. Carissa's just ambitious as hell. She's hungry as hell. Brækhus needs to defend these belts. Having them up. So, but Clarissa doesn't need those other women. They need her. So I don't think she needs to chase after any of them. But she just continue to go on campaign and continue to stay undefeated and continue to. Everybody's after her. UFC inviting her. You see Eddie Hearn trying to mingle with it. People wants to be around this lady, Clarissa Shields, and she's doing very smart shit. And the stuff that she's talking is working. But that's all I got on that.
What I think is that Clarissa needs to figure out what her optimum weight class is, because she's entering a prime as far as being a professional fighter, and she should just go on a tandem of title defenses. Start defending the title. Take on all comers, whether they good, bad, they're on her level, whatever. She should start just going after these fighters, because just like Christy Martin did, start cleaning out divisions and stuff, fighting these people, and just go about her business, because she's already made some history. Now she needs to be a historical figure by defending her title, but she needs to pick a weight. She don't need to bounce all around here and there. Pick a weight, whether it's going to be 156 or 160 or whatever, and go about defending those titles. Fight several times a year, make her money, do those endorsements or whatever, and everything else will catch up because she's already the magnet. She's not going to have a shortage of potential opponents. She should stay herself away from that damn MMA and crossover fighting. She should stay away from that and start cementing her legacy as the most decorated fighter in the women's division as far as her background in the amateur, what she was able to achieve, which I did a video earlier about her, and also stick it to the establishment that has something in for the black woman. The black woman, particularly of dark skin and not fair skin. A dark-skinned black woman that can go out there and whoop behind. They're not, matter of fact, there's a lot more ridicule and a lot more disrespect that comes with that. You remember what the Williams sisters have gone through, and here we are. We have another prime athlete that, you know, they may be looking to make sure they don't give her all the credit that she's due.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. See, that's the one thing that I, you know, and with the new fresh additions to my family, it's one of the things that I was thinking about primarily, because when you talk about the black woman and her place in the world, you know, her place is essential. It's integral. And there's so much disrespect, even coming from our own brothers, toward the black woman. We have to get away from that. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop fighting ourselves, because when we do that to the women, that's what we're doing to ourselves, and that's what we're doing to our nation. That's what we're doing to our culture. You know, we need to start lifting that up. Give them the pearls, not the thorns.
Real talk, real talk.
So, yeah, I don't know that we should go our full 2-hour limit tonight. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I think that tomorrow morning it's a big day for us, because we're gonna have the return of the show of the 3 wise men of boxing, and I want to try to get myself, you know, some rest so I could be up and ready for the task at hand. For those of you out there that are listening and didn't realize it, the return of the show, The 3 Wise Men of Boxing, featuring Scrapbook Boxing, Kurt Anderson, a.k.a. Kurt Sugar, and myself, Stormybman. The show will return tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time. And we will be bringing back the boxing scholars. They're going to talk the sport, the history of the sport, the events, the circumstances around the events, the X's and O's of the sport, and things of that nature. And it's going to be a welcome return, because we still feel like there's a lot to be discussed about the sport of boxing, not just what's happening presently, but everything that has transpired before to bring us to the place where we find ourselves presently. So I wanted to make sure I get myself some rest for that, because it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna take some energy. So if you've got some other things you want to drop out there right now, Reggie, you can, and then we can kind of wrap things up for the evening.
No, that's all I got, man. But I how you close that out on protecting our women, and especially like the new additions you have to your family. Also, me having a daughter as well, and that's what it is. It'll be nothing will ever no one will ever be allowed to disrespect my child, my son or my daughter. But it also comes down to the way we treat them. And I remember we were having a talk a while ago, just away from boxing. Quick close about how our level of disrespect towards women became. And the cool thing is just funny how ignorant behavior becomes something that's cool. But I remember a kid to where even my favorite rappers come around when the Death thing sweeps through LA and we first get the Chronic album. And this is where you began to first start hearing the bitches and hoes. And that became the cool thing based on what this album was being put out there, popular album, us eating it, because this music becomes for our brains and food to our behavior. And we soak that stuff up. And that's the way we began to talk about women, treating them like such. So it's just waking up from that type of behavior and breaking those kind of patterns. But yeah, we definitely have to protect these women, protect the likes of a Clarissa Shields. But that's all I got on that one. Protect these women, all women.
Absolutely, man. And, I think that is an excellent way to end this, because that's the message for this evening, that we protect our women and our families, our daughters, granddaughters, and nieces. Because, the vehicle has veered too far off the road. It's time to get back on track. Simply put, that's it. And demand no less, and let that just be the message, period. So, but yeah, that's about it that we got for you guys this evening. We're gonna cut this short because we're gonna have a special show in the morning, the Three Wise Men of Boxing at 10 a.m. Central, and we just want everybody to have a chance to come out and listen to what we had to say this evening. There's been another edition of the Friday Night Chop Session with Stormybman. Episode number 47. We're almost at 50. Avoiding adversity in boxing. And you have to avoid it in life too. But when you're avoiding it in boxing, you're trying to you're trying to not meet fate head on. You have to make your fate in the sport of boxing. A lot of people don't understand how that works, and that's how they get taken advantage of in the sport. But yeah, once again, this has been Stormybman for my brother Reggie Owens. We want to say salute to you all. I know there's some boxing out there on tonight on Showbox, so you guys could go check that out if you haven't started already. My man Ronald Finkley just reminded me, because I forget because I'm on this Friday night show. But if anybody have any comments, you want to leave them in the comment section. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys on the next come around. And for everybody out there, I'll say salute to the LDBC. And go check out Stormybman's video I released this evening on Clarissa Shields. I think you'll like it. It's something, special that I put out there. So that's all we got for you this evening. We're going to say peace out. Everybody have a good night.
Peace.